Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we had that Splatoon 3 Direct yesterday, and we've got a whole lot of information coming out of that. We'll hit the highlights, and then some information coming out that makes it look like Elden Ring may be coming to Game Pass. We have those topics and more to cover, but before we get started, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so we can keep you up with plenty of gaming news. And don't forget, during the month of August, you can enter in to win the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition, and the details for that are in the description of this video. Now let's get started. So first, we had that Splatoon 3 Direct yesterday with 30 minutes worth of information, and there was a whole lot here, and I'm going to try to go through and just pick out some of the highlights here. Now, if you're a big Splatoon fan, you'll want to check out this Direct because it'll go into a whole lot more detail than what I'm covering here. But first off, we have 12 stages with more to come after the launch. And you can see all the different stages here, and they're also going to have different weapon types, including this Splatana. Let's take a look at an announcement here that was made by Nintendo of Europe. Splatanas are a new weapon type in Splatoon 3. Send blades of ink flying with the Splatana wiper or perform a charged slash to devastate your enemies. Now, the Direct also highlighted things like different clothing and different accessories you can get, and there will also be 4 different battle modes, and they just said more information on those battle modes will be coming to the Splatoon website soon. But they did have them listed here with Splat Zones, Tower Control, Rainmaker, and Clam Blitz, which seemed kind of like maybe a basketball themed type game. But there'll also be a thing called Table Turf Battle, and this is a card game. It's like a one-on-one game where cards are played and you try to ink in a grid based on a battlefield. And in this little mini game, there'll be over 150 cards to collect. Now, the game will also have a story mode, and this will kind of help you get familiar with the game's different mechanics. And they also mentioned that there'll be this mobile app, Splatnet 3. And it looks like this is just going to be an update to the current Nintendo Online app. And this will let you do things like check your battle stats and view rankings. It'll also have some mobile device wallpapers and unique app-only gear. Now, they also highlighted how often the game will get updated. It's going to be updated every 3 months, at least for the next 2 years. But I think one of the highlights that a lot of people will be looking forward to is they did announce that there's 3 new amiibos coming this holiday season. And you can see all 3 of those here, and I do believe that there will be a triple pack available. And the list price for each of these individually would be about $16. Now, you will be able to use the amiibo to access exclusive gear, take photos with them, and to save your character's gear combinations as fresh fits. Alongside of these new amiibos, they'll also be doing some reprints of the Splatoon 2 amiibos, so be looking out for those if that's something you collect and was never able to get. And then the last big announcement coming out of this is that there will be a large-scale paid DLC later on. Now, we don't know what's in it, we don't know when it's coming out, and we don't know how much it will cost. And I do have to wonder if this large-scale paid DLC will come out after their 2-year commitment of updates to the base game. And they did mention that you will need to have Splatoon 3 in order to use this large-scale DLC when it comes out. Now, I do have to wonder if they won't have some type of separate bundle at that point that you could pick up. But overall, I think the presentation went really well. They went through a lot of things really quickly, and it wasn't like they wasted a whole lot of time just showing like full matches or something. But if you watched the Direct, let me know what you think of it. Are you looking forward to Splatoon 3? And if so, what new features are you looking forward to the most? And it looks like we have the official PlayStation Plus games coming in August. This coming to us from blog.playstation.com. PlayStation Plus game catalog lineup for August: Yakuza 0, Trials of Mana, Dead by Daylight, and Bugsnax. Now, in addition to those games, we're also having Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Metro Exodus, Uno, Monopoly Madness, Monopoly Plus, and not only are we getting Yakuza 0, we're also getting Kiwami 1 and 2. Now, the rest of the Yakuza series is going to be coming sometime later this year. And I must say, this looks like a pretty impressive list to be adding in. I do like all the Yakuza games, and Trials of Mana is a pretty decent game by itself. But let us all know what you think in the comments. Are there any other games here that people should try out when they're added to the service on August 16th? And while we're on the topic of PlayStation Plus, we have this interesting article here from VGC. Xbox has accused Sony of paying developers Game Pass block fees. Now, this is coming from documents filed in Brazil as part of the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And these documents are publicly available, and they're in response to a story we saw last week where Sony claims that Xbox acquiring Call of Duty would be anti-competitive. But in this response from Microsoft, it says, indeed, Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been obstructed by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass or other competing subscription services. Now, this kind of reminds me of back in the NES days where Nintendo had a pretty big monopoly, and they would tell game publishers, you can't put your game on any other system if you plan on putting it on ours. Now, while this is a little bit of a different situation, to me it still seems pretty anti-competitive. Now, I'm definitely no law expert, especially in Brazilian law, but I think this whole situation really shows how much the subscription wars are heating up. With Sony jumping into the pool this year, they may be feeling the need to make up some ground. Now, as I talked about earlier, Sony does seem to be pulling in some pretty heavy hitters into PlayStation Plus. And normally, I think competition really does help the consumer, but I have to wonder how well that is in this situation. Instead of Sony and Microsoft trying to cut their prices to draw in more subscriptions, you have Sony paying off third parties in order to not use their competitor service. So on the one hand, you have Microsoft buying out Activision Blizzard, and on the other hand, you have Sony paying companies to not put their games on Xbox. As most of you know, games sell consoles, so if your console has all the exclusives and best games, then you're most likely going to sell more consoles, and the more consoles you have out there, the more software that you're going to sell. And let's face it, Sony and Microsoft are in this business to make money, and the more consoles they can sell, the more games they'll be able to sell as well. And in an update from a story back in June that kind of flew under the radar for me, it looks like we are seeing the end of loot boxes in Overwatch. All this stems from Overwatch 2 coming out, and this is coming from the official Play Overwatch website. It says, earn and purchase anniversary loot boxes through the event. Each loot box has a chance to contain items from past anniversary and seasonal events. Don't wait too long to snag those skins you've been eyeing for the past year. Though loot boxes will no longer be available for sale after the end of the Anniversary Remix Volume 3 event on August 30th. However, you will still be able to earn standard loot boxes after the end of the event. And then they have a little asterisk here telling you that your loot boxes will automatically open before the launch of Overwatch 2. Now, in case you didn't remember, Overwatch 2 is replacing Overwatch and is going to be free to play. And they'll have battle passes that you can get for Overwatch 2. And I personally like that much better. Now, one of the big complaints about loot boxes is the gambling nature of them. So much so that many countries are pursuing banning them outright. Now, Overwatch 2 is set to launch on October 4th. And at that point, it will pretty much mark the end of loot boxes in Overwatch. Next up, we have a delay of a game I was kind of looking forward to. We have this tweet here from Way Forward. River City update. To ensure the most polished experience possible, River City Girls 2 will be launching in North America sometime after its originally expected late summer 2022 release window. Please stay tuned for a new release date. For now, please check out the cover art. Now, River City Girls 2 was first revealed back in June of 2021, and it was recently given a December 1st release date in Japan. So I have to wonder if that will still be on target or if that's going to get pushed back as well. And I did enjoy the first River City Girls game. I thought it was a fairly decent beat 'em up. But I think if Cyberpunk 2077 has taught us anything, it's that it's better to delay a game and it come out and be good than to spend a year trying to get it to the point where it should have been. So I do give them kudos for delaying the game and making sure that it's a good experience when you first play it. And then finally, we had some people wondering if Elden Ring was coming to Game Pass, and I don't think that's the case. We have a tweet here from Colobrill. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It looks like Xbox is preparing to bring new games to Xbox Cloud Gaming, which aren't part of Xbox Game Pass. And then you can see the clip here showing the Game Pass logo on Elden Ring for the Xbox. So seeing this logo makes people think, oh, Elden Ring is coming to Game Pass, but what this is most likely related to is a story we covered a few months ago, and that is that Game Pass Ultimate members will be able to play from the cloud select games they already own that are part of their library. And to go along with this thought, we have a tweet here from Game Pass Counter that says, definitely think they're ramping up for the launch of xCloud, being able to play games from your library too, not just Xbox Game Pass titles. Likely going to be revealed in more detail at Gamescom. And then they noticed here so far we also have Grand Theft Auto 5 and Soul Hackers 2 with this Game Pass logo on it. Now, Gamescom starts August 24th, and Microsoft has said that they'll be there with some announcements, so this seems to be on target. And I do think that this is a nice benefit for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, and something you can pretty much talk many publishers into supporting. Now, if they just have some way for it to tap into you being able to play your physical copy from the cloud, maybe you've left the disc in your Xbox at home, but I guess we'll probably find out more about that in a few weeks at Gamescom. And that's all we have for today. Did anything we cover catch your attention? Are you looking forward to Splatoon 3? And were there any new features shown in that direct that you're really looking forward to? And do you think cloud enabling games that you already have in your library is a good idea? Drop a comment about those topics or anything else we covered today. I want to thank you for watching and be good.